Hey everyone, and welcome to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the page, be sure to give us a like and a sub so you don't miss any of the content we have coming out. And today's issue is going to be an indie comic. And the comic is Red Knight, issue number 4. Now, I've covered issues 1 through 3 already, so check those out. I'll leave a link at the top of the video and down in the description. Now, this comic is published by Manos Publishing. It's written by Justin Cristalli. The artist is J.C. Grande. The colorist is Forrester Randlett. Letterer and editing is done by Lindsay Cristalli. Now, a little bit of the back history on Red Knight before we jump into this for the newcomers here. Now, the Red Knight, also known as Todd McLean. He always wanted to be a hero from the littlest of ages. And in his universe, they have what is known as the Union of Superheroes. And so the Union of Superheroes is essentially a government-sanctioned organization that licenses superheroes to be able to operate as vigilantes. And so if you don't have one of these licenses, if you are a superhero or a vigilante operating, you are doing so illegally and will be arrested for this. Now, the Red Knight is relatively new to the superhero scene. He has superhuman strength and he's pretty much invulnerable. So when it comes to superpowers, he really does have the better end of the spectrum. And in the last issue, he recently partnered up with Martha Brown, which is a detective for the Superhuman Crime Unit. And they had worked together last issue, and instead of arresting him, they decided to work together. And with this, she'll help train him be a more skillful and better hero. So without further ado, let's dive into this issue. So diving into this one, we're met with two individuals. We're met with Death Ray Dick and Handquake. And we pick up in a Norfolk mall, Norfolk, Virginia. And these two seem to be vigilantes stopping a would-be shoplifter, or purse snatcher, if you will, in the mall. And the unique thing about Death Ray Dick is he has a bionicle eye that shoots lasers out of it. And these guys take down the purse snatcher relatively quick. And then the cops are hotter in their tail. So Handquake, using his hands, slams it together, causing almost a seismic shift and being able to help them make their escape. And these guys are proclaiming themselves as the new protectors of Norfolk. And that they operate illegally without licenses, and they just don't really care. This is freedom. This is what freedom means. And so these guys are really anti-government. They're anti-hero licensing laws and things of that nature. Now, this is where we pick up with a quick scene. And we have Mrs. Sinclair and a bunch of others that are gathered for a funeral. And it's the funeral of Nolan Sinclair. Now, Nolan Sinclair was our mob boss in the last couple issues. And with his passing, we see the rise of one of his underbosses. And that's Mr. Rodney Collins. Now, picking up with the Red Knight and our detective, his training's begun pretty much in their backyard. And at first he's hesitant to even take a swing on her, but he learns out real fast that his strength means nothing. If he has no skill and technique, it really doesn't do any good for him. And he's getting thrown on his behind left and right. She's just really laying into him. And after they're done with their little sparring match, the detective says that she has a case that she wants to work on. And this is where she talks about the vigilantes that struck at the mall yesterday. And she really sees them as just bullies that are out of control. And there's even talk that one of them hired somebody, a bearded man, to pay them to steal the bags. And at first, Red Knight's a little hesitant on this. Like these are also vigilantes that are working unlicensed the same as he is. Like, what's the difference between the two? And so these two go their separate ways, and they both really take the time to study Death Ray Dick and Handquake. Now, they're just trying to figure out exactly who they are, what kind of people they are. And we see clips of them, lasering homeless people and messing with skateboarding kids. And it's looking more and more like these guys are just not good people. And they shouldn't be people that are representing heroes. And while Red Knight's at his bar, one of his waitresses really attempts to try to talk to him, but he's too busy doing all of the superheroing. And he gets a call from the detective and takes off. Now, they meet up and he's suited up. And he asks the detective before they go in and bust these guys' door down, like, let me try to talk to them. Let me reason with them. And if anything, we might get two allies out of this. And she's like, you know what? go ahead, try it out, see what happens. And so he comes through the window and he talks to these guys, and he tries to tell them, like, hey, you know, you're kind of hurting people, you know, you're messing with old people and kids, like, this isn't what heroes should be doing, like, can we find a middle ground here? And then the Red Knight notices a wig over in the corner, and it's the same wig of the hair color they described of the person that was paid to do the shoplifting. And so he finds out that these guys essentially set up the entire purse snatching situation, and they've been creating situations that they can look like the hero. And this is where the all talking's done, and they attack Red Knight. And he takes a huge blast from the laser right to the chest. And this is when our detective knocks on the door, and the door gets blasted open by Handquake. And so they break off into two, and we have Death Ray Dick taking on Red Knight, and Handquake taking on our detective. And this fight's going all over the place. It's breaking out between different apartments and all kinds of things, and our detective runs outside, Handquake in pursuit behind. He makes it outside only to see cops with guns drawn, and this is when our detective Martha comes out of nowhere and grabs his hands and stops him from clapping, and they're able to detain him. And then we get a quick glimpse at Red Knight's little bar staff here. And they're really just, it seems to be someone stealing tips, and they're having a lot of disagreements, and a lot of different things are going wrong here. And so the issue lies in he's neglecting his business. He's neglecting his employees. He's having issues keeping his two lives separate and stable. Now, cutting back over to the fight, we see Red Knight take a trash can and launch it at Death Ray Dick's face, and it knocks his eyeball out, and this is when Martha comes running around the corner and stomps on it, and they've essentially taken this guy out. Now, later the next day, Martha and Todd, they sit down and have a talk about what happened. And, you know, Red Knight really feels dumb. He feels dumb that he gave them the benefit of the doubt, that he trusted them in any sense, you know. And she lets him know, like, these are just lessons. These are lessons that you need to learn, because at the end of the day, wearing a costume or wearing a badge, people abuse power. And people wearing the badge abuse it, I think, even more so, in her opinion. And that's why she kind of wants to keep him under the radar and not bring him into the Union of Superheroes and not let him be a licensed superhero. But that way he can work on the outside of the law in certain aspects. That way they can bring down both corruption within the villains and the system itself. And then we see these guys spar again. Now, picking up at a late time movie, we see our new mob boss, Mr. Collins, and he's having a shady discussion with somebody that's kept in the shadows. And it seems to be an individual that works for the police. And Mr. Collins is really saying, you know, like, just keep me informed on what's going on with all your cop friends, and you'll get the occasional job from us. And this is just continuing on to the corruption that she was talking about. The corruption within the police force, you know, they're connected to mob bosses. And then, you know, in previous issues, we had supervillains connected to the same mob industry. So this mob family is really the core root of the problem here that nobody's really connected the pieces to yet. And that will be the end of this issue. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I personally have really enjoyed Red Knight so far. The artistry itself isn't my cup of tea, but it's not like it's bad. Like, the artwork is really good. It just seems really edgy. But all in all, this comic, the dialogue, it's really well written. You know, Justin Cusali has done a great job. You know, his whole team, Manos Publishing, you know, all of it is just really knocking out of the park with the Red Knight series. I really suggest checking them out. Make sure you follow them so you can check out their Kickstarters coming out in the future. I personally am really excited to see where the story's going. I don't know exactly how long this arc will be, but we're already 4 issues in, and it really feels like we're just getting our toes dipped in the water at this point. And we haven't really opened up to the world that's out there. You know, that this is just one city in one place in the world of superheroes. So it's really excited to see what they're going to bring to the table next with issue number 5. If you guys haven't yet, be sure to like and subscribe to the page. Check out this video. Make sure that you buy it, support the industry, and until the next video.